Okay, now that we've created the Google site, let's look at the basic options that are available to you. And they're very simple. Along the bottom, you have a set of links. The first is for recent site activity, so clicking on that would show you the changes you've made, pages you've added, etc., or those changes or additions that were made by someone else who had access to the site, so someone you've shared it with. You can subscribe to changes. So if I click this button, I'm now going to be notified by email whenever changes are made to this site. And if I'm working on it solo by myself, then that may not make sense. But if I've got partners, it's nice to be notified when things are going on. It allows you to visit, review, or just be aware. Okay, there's a report abuse button. This will appear on the bottom of your site when it's public, and this would be some way to report to Google that there's something wrong, or that the site is being used in an abusive way. Okay, there will be a remove access button. So if someone has shared a site with you and you no longer need access or want access to it, when the site is public, again, you can log in and you can use this to remove access to the site. So handy, but once you do remove access, you would have to request it again from the owner of the site. So there's no way to get it back on your own. Okay, also by default, and we'll look at this later again, and how to change this behavior, but by default you're going to start out with a home page, but you're also going to start out with a site map. And a site map is just basically an outline of the pages in your site. It's very useful to search engines. It's a recommended procedure on any website. If you want your website to be in compliance with current standards, you need to have it. And so that's why it's turned on by default. Okay, the four main controls that you will use on a regular basis are up along the top right. So the first is to edit a page, and we'll come back and revisit that in a minute. The second is to create a new page. The third option contains all of your settings within sites or within a page itself, and this is broken up into three sections. Page actions, so things here apply only to the page that I'm currently working on. Page templates, which are a way to switch between different layouts for a particular page and different functionality. Google has 4 templates by default. You can create your own, as you see, save as a page template, and we'll revisit these in a later video. Site actions, so these controls affect the entire site. So changes I make here will apply to all the pages in the site. There's another site help link, and the option to report an issue or a problem. The last option is the share button. And one thing you may notice if you do use the share button is it doesn't bring you to that usual simple share pop-up that you get in a lot of Google tools. It looks just slightly different because the menu stays on the left, and it's bringing you directly to that more advanced setting. Okay, where you get to invite people individually and change their access over here on the right. Okay, again, we'll revisit. Okay, let's get started with editing. When you click Edit Page, it loads a basic toolbar and some limited menu options. So to begin with, this is the content area of your page, and you can just begin typing. And copy and paste functions work as they would anywhere else. This toolbar works very much the same as any other toolbar you might want to use. So you can highlight text, you can change a font size, you can make it bold or italics, or underline it, or do any combination of those. You can change the font color. You see there. You can also put a background color on that block of text. So the second A is actually a background color that will apply to the selected area. You can create something as a hyperlink. So I'm going to go through these quickly because They're tools we should be familiar with by this point. When you do create a hyperlink, you have a couple of different options. One is a site's page, so you can link to other pages within the site. Now, right now I don't have them, but they would be listed here, and I would simply select it. So right now this is going to link back to itself, which doesn't make a lot of sense. You can also link to a web address, so by either typing or pasting an address into this box, and I'll just put a simple one here. If I say OK, this text will display, but it will be a hyperlink to this particular address. Note that you also have a little checkbox to open it in a new window if you want. So I certainly wouldn't use that if I was jumping around to a page in my site, but I might well use it if I was going to open up an outside site. And now when someone clicks on that, you're going to get the option to go to that page. Again, in this case, opening in an outside site. Okay, you can make lists. Let me get a couple of those. Lists are determined, or items within a list are determined by paragraphs. So if you want a list to consist of 5 things, you're going to have to hit enter to make them into separate paragraphs. So you can create a numbered list. You can create a bulleted list. If you'd like for some of your content to be indented or to not be aligned all the way on the left here, you can do that through these increase and decrease indent options. So you can see that I can use that multiple times. I could push it further and further if I wanted. Not always a great idea to do that, and certainly not a good way to try to center things. But indenting things can really provide some context and can make certain parts of text stand out, draw attention to them, and so that's how you would do it, with either the increase or the decrease to make adjustments. You also have general alignment options. So right now this title is, and let's say this should be title, is left aligned, but we could center align it or right align it just by clicking the buttons. That brings us to this remove formatting tool, which is extremely important. Sometimes you have content in another environment. Maybe you have it in a Word document. And copying and pasting that from a Word document can be very problematic. Word has its own proprietary formatting, and that tends to come along with things that are copied and pasted and can fight with the styling in your document. So if you have copy and pasted something from Word or from another source, it's a good idea to select that and to remove its formatting. And that will put it in a state where you can apply the formatting through sites and be guaranteed that that will be represented as you intend. Okay, there is an HTML view. So this is the guts behind the web page. This is the actual text that is sent from the server to your browser. So not only does it include the text that you can see here, but it includes these HTML tags which create the formatting in a document. And if you're comfortable with this, you can come in here and you can make certain edits. Now, Google does kind of enforce certain things. So it's possible you could come in here if you're a good coder and add edits, add additional information and edits and find that it gets stripped out. So in some cases that's possible, but in other cases, if you're comfortable in this environment, you can come in and do some things here that maybe aren't available to you through a general toolbar, if you know how to do it. Okay, the one feature we haven't really looked at here is this feature. And this is basically a way to set fonts, but they're very, very simple. So I can set them as serif fonts. Those are letters that have these little tails on the end. You can set them for normal, which is going to be a sans serif or a simpler font, which is very often most appropriate on a screen. But Google does offer you some simple choices. This is a monotyped font Courier New, which looks like a typewriter where all the letters have equal spacing between them. And then a couple of different individual choices, Georgia being a serif font, Verdana being a very popular sans serif font, etc. So, as you can see, your choices from the main toolbar are simple but allow you to do most of the entry and simple formatting of content. A lot of the power here lies in these menu options that we will visit in future videos.